One of my goals this summer is to really try to maximize the spare time I have available. On so many occasions, I'll find myself having an evening free or I'm doing nothing in the morning. And instead of utilizing those spare moments and getting in the car, going on a 2-hour drive to Mount Rainier National Park and hiking or taking photos, I'll end up just doing nothing. And at the end of each summer, I've typically looked back, reflected on the summer, and had some regrets in that department. So this summer I'd like to change that as much as I possibly can. And today's video is me attempting to do that. I had an evening free, the sunset looked like it was gonna be a good one, so I decided to hop in the car, drive up to Mount Rainier National Park, which I hadn't been to in quite a while, and take some photographs on a lovely summer evening here in the Pacific Northwest. All right, we have made it to Mount Rainier National Park. Got here about 2.5 hours before sunset, just so that I'd have some time to kind of cruise around and hopefully shoot some photos before we actually get into golden hour. And gonna start things off with a little roll of Portra 400. This is when things really start to come into scale. Just so weird looking at the mountain from this close. Low expectations for that one, but we're warming up. Definitely think there's a pretty rad photo to get here, probably on the 43mm lens. Throw an ND on, smooth out the river a bit. You got the mountain in the background. This is a pretty good vantage point right here, but I'd like to kind of get out in the middle of the river a little bit more. So if I can find a nice path to do that, I think that's gonna be my game plan. If I can kind of get out right over here, that'll be money. If we can get more of that white water in the shot. The river on this side isn't flowing as hard, so I think that's a little bit more interesting over there. God damn it. I just soaked the fucking foot. That rock was not sturdy. Well, I soaked my foot in the process, but this is definitely the vantage point to be at. Probably do one on the 65mm and the 43mm. Have a feeling if I throw the ND on the Mamiya, get about a 2-second exposure, this is gonna turn out really nice. Well, my dumbass forgot the adapter I need to put the ND filter on the 65mm lens for the Mamiya. So I'm only gonna be able, well, I can hold the ND filter in front of it, I guess, but God, such an idiot. All right, I got a sweet composition framed up on the 65. I'm just gonna hold the ND filter in front of the lens. It'll be 6 stops of ND, f/16, 2-second exposure. Also forgot my shutter release cable in the car. So I'm gonna self-timer this one. It's like summer comes along and I forget how to do my job. It's insane. All right. I've lost the sunlight on the river because I'm too busy filming and setting stuff up. So now we got nice flat shaded light all in the foreground, and then the mountain's gonna be pretty bright. So really, really quality landscape photographer right here. The Mamiya 7ii has really become my go-to camera for any landscape work that I'm doing, unless I know that I'm going to utilize the 105 lens for the Pentax, or unless I know that the majority of the images that I'm going to be taking are just me getting out of the car. I can grab the Pentax really quick, walk down the road a little bit or whatever, grab my photo, and I'm back in the car on the move again. But anytime I'm hiking or, I'm going to a national park or something and I'm not really sure if I'm going to be walking a whole bunch or just working out of the car, I'm gonna grab the Mamiya 7ii just because it is so much more portable than the Pentax. Okay, I'm getting 2 different compositions with the 43mm. The first one's gonna be from a little bit higher up, and then the second one is going to be from a little bit lower, kind of more level with the river. Both of them I think seem pretty interesting. When it's a little bit higher up, you can see more of the river go into the backdrop, but when it's a little bit lower, I think it's kind of more dramatic and in your face. So two different kind of feels, I bet. All right, once again, F16, 2 seconds, 6 stops of ND. And here we go for frame 2. So my initial prediction for this composition that the 43 mil would create a little bit more of a dramatic flare, I think was correct. I've just been loving using the 43 mil for not just landscapes, but everything that I shoot on the Mamiya 7ii. It's such a unique perspective. I love how much of the foreground you can pull into frame with it, especially when you shoot vertically. In combination with the longer exposure that I got on this image and really smoothing out the river and having it be right in your face with this, super wide angle lens, I think it created a really fun photo, and I think is a testament as to how cool and how unique that 43 mil lens is for the Mamiya and how much it perfectly suits landscape photography. Okay, doing one more sneaky one before I depart from this location, and it's a very different type of composition than something I'd usually shoot, much more simple, but I really like this little part of the river here, water flowing over this kind of couple ledges of rocks. So I got the 43 mil on and gonna do one more long exposure of this, and then we'll head up to the top towards Paradise. I was actually really happy with this photo, surprisingly. I just kind of turned around from shooting those images of the river with the mountain in the background and saw this composition. Decided to just go ahead and shoot it. It's not something that I usually notice and take a photo of, but I'm glad that I did on this trip because it's actually one of my favorite photos from the whole night. It's pretty simple, not really anything super dramatic or grand going on in the image, but I like the colors. I like the way that the water rendered with that longer exposure. Did a little bit of a crop on it just to get some of the top of the tree line out of there. Just wanted it to be kind of focused on what was happening in the center of the frame, and had a couple little light leaks off to the left somehow, which is kind of irritating, but it's not too distracting, and the colors rendered really nice. So pretty pumped on the result from this photo. Making my way up to the top and drove across this bridge, and the view right now is looking spectacular. I think we'll do a vertical one on the 43 and then a landscape one on the 65. All right, I'm doing another shot that I typically wouldn't shoot. It's just gonna be of the river looking down at it. It kind of snakes through the valley in an interesting way, and I think if I do a 2-second exposure and smooth it out a little bit, it could look interesting. So I'm gonna give it a try. Last shot of the roll. This might be one I convert to black and white, we'll see. But got the camera very precariously set up on the bridge there. 2 seconds, F16, 5 stops ND, self-timer. This is probably a pretty questionable decision, but I'm still gonna roll with Ektar for this last roll of the evening. And hopefully once we get up to Paradise, we do get some sunset colors, but on the drive up there, it's just gonna be pretty much all shade now. So we'll see if this is a good decision or a bad one. I am leaning towards the latter. I really hope the photos I've gotten so far are somewhat decent, because I definitely missed out on all the sunlight hitting the mountain to take those photos. So hopefully the sacrifice was worth it. But the joys of film is that you're not going to find out if it was worth it until a couple days later. So, all right, well, I'm just gonna shoot the hero shot, even with less than ideal lighting, because It is a pretty insane subject. This is about as grand and central as you're gonna get Mount Rainier. And you know, I got a fresh roll of film in the camera, so might as well just snap the photo. It looks good on the iPhone, so you know, film has to look better than that, right? You'd think. All right, we'll do one on the 65 and the 43. All right, 1/2 of a second, f11 Ektar 100. Here we go. This summer might be the summer I finally get someone to come and help me film these videos, because doing all of this myself is getting a little ridiculous. Okay, 43mm lens. Show me what you got. Why the fuck did I say that? Well, what do we have here? One of my favorite situations to be in. Windy road off into Neverland. Look at that. That light is beautiful right there. 65mm lens. Things are looking a little more promising than I anticipated for this post-sunset session. Every time I think I'm gonna take a photo on the 65mm, I look through the viewfinder of the 43 and I'm like, oh wait, this might be kind of sick. Okay, f11, 1 second. Well, I'll tell you what, we are gonna get an unobstructed view of Mount Rainier, well, the peak of Mount Rainier right now. The small clouds that are just hovering on the top of the mountain right now are lit up pretty well. They do appear to be on fire, as we youngsters like to say. The sky is on fire. I think we'll do the 65mm lens, just kind of try to get a little bit tighter just to the mountain there. Well, I'll tell you what, that ain't too bad of a shot right there. Moon rising up over the mountains. Oh man, I like the look of that a lot. I'm not like ultra thrilled on the composition of this photo, but the subject is really cool with this moon rising over the mountain, so I think it's worth shooting. I found it interesting that while I prefer the colors and tonality of the home scan of this image compared to the lab scan I got, I noticed that the home scan didn't end up rendering the moon into the frame at all. So something happened with Negative Lab Pro. It didn't really retain the information and the detail, the highlight detail of the moon that was just sitting right above the mountain ridge. But on the lab scan, you can definitely clearly see the moon in the frame. So I kind of always go back and forth on utilizing my home scanning setup and then preferring lab scans for certain situations. And I've noticed that those situations are usually images that I've shot in the dark or at night or post dusk. All of the long exposure at night videos that you've seen on my channel, I've always used the lab scans for those because they're night and day better from my experience, which is maybe just user error, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. So if you guys have any tips or tricks that you'd like to share for home scanning those kind of long exposures at night or those images that were shot in darker situations, please feel free to leave a comment below or shoot me a DM on Instagram, because I'm really curious to hear if that's something that I'm doing wrong or if it just is kind of a weakness within the Negative Lab Pro workflow and home scanning workflow. All right, 2 frames left. I'm not super optimistic I'm gonna get a whole lot of good stuff with these last 2 frames, but we'll see. Oh wow. Oh shit. Look at this viewpoint. You might be in business here, fellas. Holy smokes. Woohoo! Just as I said we weren't getting anything good. Look at this. Moon is coming up right in the slot there. Oh my god. Oh yeah. 65 is gonna be perfect for this. All right, F8, 2 seconds. All right, I'll tell you what we're doing. 43 mil lens out on the edge of this snow pack, and gonna get a lot of unwanted trees in the foreground. But my plan is to pano crop this image and get the whole surrounding mountain ridge just in this nice kind of pano crop. So that's the game plan. Will it work? I don't know. I'm kind of an idiot. The 65 mil is gonna be way better for this, so do a hot swap real quick. 8 seconds. It's gonna be 14 seconds. We'll just call it 15 in total. All right, guys, time to wrap it up here. Mount Rainier National Park, absolutely gorgeous evening. It feels so good to breathe the mountain air in again. One of the best parts about landscape photography, I've said it before and I'll say it again, even if you don't end up with good photos, you got to spend some time outside in a beautiful location. And Mount Rainier National Park is up there when it comes to beautiful locations. So really excited to get back out on the trail here in the next couple of weeks, get some hiking in, hopefully a lot of landscape photography oriented videos coming this summer. I plan to be out backpacking or hiking at least every week, hopefully a couple times a week. So see if we can make it happen. And kind of going along with what I was saying earlier about how I want to maximize my spare time this summer, got me thinking that, you know, what I'm doing, what I'm shooting out here, it's not rocket science. You know, there's not a whole lot of technical skills that go into making a good photo in this landscape world. Sure, you can get creative with compositions and whatnot and play around with some different settings here and there, but what it really comes down to is just getting out there and doing it, driving to the location. When you're sitting on the couch at 5 p.m., sunsets in a few hours, and there's a beautiful spot 2 hours away from you, might not sound super enticing to get in the car and drive 2 hours out to shoot sunset or out to shoot blue hour somewhere. But once you do it, God, I just have never had an experience where I regret doing that. So I think the majority of good photos in the landscape world just comes down to getting out there and doing it, and maybe putting in a little bit of planning so that you're out there at the right time of day. But for the most part, just get in the car and drive. Just get on the road, get out there, and put yourself in situations that have the potential to lead to great photos. You don't have to be the most artistic person. You don't have to be, you don't have to have the best photographic eye, because, I mean, you saw what I just did. I just walked up on this hill, pointed my camera at some mountains, but I made sure to, come out here and just be present to give myself the opportunity to make that photo. And I think I forget that a lot of the time, that's maybe the most important thing when it comes to creating consistent, decent landscape work. Anyway, Philosopher Brae signing out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Squarespace is the best in the business when it comes to building a new website. Whether you're a photographer, artist, musician, or starting a new business, Squarespace has all the tools you need to get a professional website up and running. I recently hosted an entire online photography gallery that featured 100 photographers from around the world on my personal website, and that's all thanks to Squarespace. The website building interface is extremely intuitive and absolutely zero coding is necessary. They have a ton of fantastic templates to choose from, and from there you can begin to further customize the look and feel of your site to make it unique to you. On top of that, they have great e-commerce tools that let you keep track of orders, inventory, customers, offer memberships, and more. And with fantastic customer service, you're always in the clear if you ever need help along the way. If you'd like to receive 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain, head over to squarespace.com/Brae or use code BRAE at checkout to do so.